Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
If you take a penalty against the Spruce Grove Saints in the BCHL, their mascot, Chucky the Saint, just stands in front of the penalty box and stares at the opposing team's player, just flat out stares at him.
I saw that. Was that during like a TV timeout or something like that?
Can you imagine it's during play? I cracked up so hard when I saw that, and then I immediately thought, we need this in Detroit. And I figured, Al the Octopus? No, we need him in the stands, tentacles like spanning wider than the stairs, and so he's knocking people's popcorn and drinks out. We've been on the record about that. What we need is a giant Evan Lopsinger mascot with like an even bigger Evan Lopsinger head, like gargantuan caricaturized. And it's still Evan Lopsinger inside. It's just like Inception Evan Lopsinger and just staring with your 1,000-yard stare face at the opposing team's player in the penalty box.
Couldn't even imagine how much that extra size head would cost.
How much did yours cost?
Way too much.
I'll tell you, it's an ordeal getting that thing through the door, as is. We had to widen the doorways in the studio. Speaking of the studio, a little refresh in here for folks. We got a couple Centennial jerseys up for you. We have a few great pieces, some vintage signed pieces on loan right now from a very distinguished collection. And then we have the Winged Wheel Podcast Detroit Red Wings co-branded Centennial blanket out here as well. So nice little Centennial theme to match the team in studio.
Yeah, it's great. It's nice to see the blanket is the right direction as well, so people won't freak out.
Oh, if that was upside down, we would have.
We'd be hearing about it.
Yeah, brick right through the window.
Well, it's because they won.
That's right.
Yeah, when the Red Wings lose, we turn it upside down. When they lose twice, we flip it to the Winged Wheel Podcast logo. Then it's really bad. All right, folks. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
This episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is presented by Green Light Lending. Red lights are meant for lighting the lamp at the rink, not your home ownership goals. Head to gogreenlightlending.com today for creative mortgage solutions with flexible closing cost options. Licensed only in Michigan, NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender. On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we're going to be talking about the Atlantic Division leading Detroit Red Wings. I'm saying that as long as I can possibly say it, even if it's for a few fleeting days throughout the season. And their win over the Seattle Kraken and all the storylines that come from that, including Nate the Great's coming out party, getting some attention from across the NHL. And that was a phenomenal game, a goal and assist, and potentially a little bit more, which was cruelly taken back, which I'm sure Brad has some choice words about. We are going to be talking about storylines from the Red Wings top forwards and the pace that they are on this season, more from around the NHL, and just how hard it may be to make the playoffs in the East this year based on how tight things are compared to the West. Really great prospect updates from the Hockeytown pipeline, and then a bunch of NHL notes. We'll see what we get into before overtime. Before all that, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show and allow us to do things like have this awesome studio with the expanded doorway to fit Evan's head through it and all of the gear that you see up here and our equipment. Hosting Winged Wheel Podcast nights at the LCA, continue to produce the show and make it bigger and better and just bring you everything that we can bring you. So you also get access to benefits like our Patreon exclusive bonus overtime episodes, which record right after these main ones. We let loose, we have fun. You get thoughts with Evan, so you get to know what goes on in that colossal head. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways with access to our giveaway to 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game going directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/winged wheel podcast. I want to start us off by saying I understand people's anxiety when we post like the standings with Detroit on top and you celebrate, being atop the Atlantic at the quarter mark of the season and things like that. And they're like, don't jinx it. It's so fleeting. Everyone else is so close. Like a few points separate top and bottom of the division. And, don't count your chickens before they hatch. All of those things are true. But if your point is that you don't jinx it because the Red Wings might not make the playoffs, they've just simply not made the playoffs and weren't even at the top of the division at any point over the past several years. So I'm going to continue to enjoy, even if it's going to mean not making the playoffs at the end, I'm going to continue to enjoy these moments where the Red Wings sit atop 7 other teams in the Atlantic, because we've not been here before ever in the 10-year plus history of this podcast.
This has to be the latest into the season they've had the division lead since we started this podcast. Sure, maybe 1 or 2 games into the season, there's been some moments.
We've won the preseason, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's the Detroit Lions special.
But as I know you saw, yesterday morning, I was looking at the standings and I realized, oh, Montreal and Boston don't play tonight, which means if Detroit wins, like they just jump to the... So I tweeted that if the Red Wings win tonight, they will be first in the Atlantic. And of course, my replies were flooded with, how dare you jinx that? They won.
They did it.
So maybe, just maybe, it doesn't matter what we say. Not maybe.
I can't believe it.
It doesn't, 1, because we're idiots, and 2, mostly because we're idiots.
The Red Wings take on the Kraken, and that was, I mean, everyone knows that the Red Wings have a good record against the Kraken, and generally a lot of their players have performed well against them, but we were saying pre-show, that was another really, really great game. Like after the Buffalo collapse, where they still walked away with a point, but it was still a collapse, they played a fantastic game against the Rangers and then followed up with a really dominant game against the Kraken. And that was a really good continued response from the messaging that the team had internally, that McLellan had to the team. And it wasn't just like, a boring 4 lines, 3 pairings, goaltender, everyone just did their job. No, there was some fun storylines in there. And I think we have to open by talking about Nate Danielson and the game he had. It wasn't his first game of the season, but that was his coming out party in my mind for, what he can bring to the Red Wings. And he kind of did it all out there in that game.
Yeah, it was probably the first game where he was noticeable. He wasn't playing bad or anything. He wasn't a liability. He made a couple plays, but by and large, you watched a Red Wings game for his first 4 and okay, he was there. If nobody pointed it out to you, you might not have noticed, to be fair. This game, he was very noticeable at a lot of different ways. Not even only on his 3 points, but even he was just making plays. And it felt like he got that comfort level with the puck on his stick, that he was willing to hold it for the extra half second to make a play. He was willing to try stuff that maybe he wasn't fully comfortable trying. And again, it's the age-old hockey saying, you just need one. Larkin, was it last year or the year before, put an empty netter in to end a long drought, and he just went nuclear after that. Danielson has one bank in off his foot, and then he looks like Nikita Kucherov the rest of the period. Like,
that was a really smart redirect, though.
Yeah, the way he turned it was a smart play, but it still went off his foot in the net. And the rest of that period, he was the best player. So sometimes it's all you need to just get the juices flowing, get the motor going.
So the scoring opened in the game with Jordan Eberle on the power play. Lucas Raymond ties it in the second period. Lucas Raymond stays hot, one of the hottest players in the NHL right now. His 6th goal of the year, he scored this one from DeBrincat and Seider, who both continue to produce. And then, Nate Danielson's first of the season came on a double deflection. Axel Sandin-Pellikka shot, deflects off Appleton, and then Danielson redirect in with his skate. How fitting that Danielson's first career NHL point and goal came off an Axel Sandin-Pellikka shot, his fellow first-round draft pick from the 2023 NHL draft. Really cool moment. And oh my God, the excitement on the ice between those two. Like Sandin-Pellikka, as has been the case all season with the Red Wings and the rookies, someone else is the most excited player on the ice. And it may have been ASP in that moment. He was thrilled. And then I think it was veteran player Emmitt Finnie who went and grabbed the puck, if I remember correctly. But that was scripted about as well as you can possibly script it. And then this part wouldn't have been the way you scripted it. Puck's in the air. Danielson's entering the zone. Gets the puck. Beautiful move to dance around the defender, dances around the goalie, buries what would be his second career NHL goal less than 3 minutes after the first one. Unbelievable play. Everyone lost their minds. It was so cool. And what a flash of talent. And like the juxtaposition of an everyman's, lunch pail, blue collar goal that he scored on his first one, and the second one showing that, no, I'm still Nate Danielson, who has more offensive output than anyone gave me credit for. And then the offside review came in, and it was by a fraction of an inch. It was technically offside, but it wasn't Danielson who was offside. It was Emmitt Finnie, who just needed to drag the skate for another millisecond. Successful review, goal called back, and yeah, I saw that happen, and I thought a lot of expletives, and then I thought, yeah, Brad needs about 10 unfiltered minutes on tomorrow's episode.
I need less time than that. Anybody who saw that sweet goal in that moment with that context and saw a guy who wasn't even relevant to the play go offside by a fraction of a millimeter, and then we have this obscenely long review sucking the life right out of the building. If you are still not on my side of the argument, there's nothing I can do to get you on my side of the argument. So there's no point in me arguing, because this is the textbook example of why this rule sucks and why these reviews are bad for the game. And if you're sitting there going, well, they technically got it right. Okay, you may be correct. Also,
you weren't bullied enough if that's your rebuttal.
If you are sitting there saying, okay, well, they technically got it right, I got a question for you. Did your friends ever get mad at you at the end of class when you threw your hand up and went, teacher, you forgot to assign us homework? Because that's who you are as a person, and I need you to know that. There is no way you watched that goal and went, this is good for hockey.
Spirit of the rule is what comes in there. I watched that one and I'm like, yeah, as someone who has advocated for getting offside calls right, I looked at that and thought, boy, does it suck when I really want the goal to count.
Sucks when it happens to us.
Who figured? Forget spirit of the rule. The rule of cool should trump the technicalities. Like that, I get it, the objective blue line play, but if it's a sweet enough goal and a cool enough moment,
call it the Darryl Strawberry rule.
Right? Like,
nobody cares that it's offside. We just want to see a home run.
Do you want to know the ugly, ugly truth, or do you want to see me hit some dingers? Like,
exactly.
I think you look at that and you're like, okay, if it wasn't called in the moment, like if Finnie wasn't called offside in the moment and the other team wants to challenge for offside, I think the only way the offside challenge should be successful is if you're challenging that the player who scored or someone who made a direct impact on that play were the ones offside.
I can't do that.
No,
it's got to be they have it or they don't.
I was gonna say I'm with Evan on this one. If you get into the gray, this is only gonna piss everybody off more. Did the guy who made the pass 30 seconds before the goal was scored directly impact the play? I can see that being the slippery slope into an even more atrocious level of hell. So this is as generous as I can be to the nerds in the front of the classroom who miss their homework. If you need and have to have these rules in place because you need to get the egregious ones right and overturned, and at the expense of that, the ticky-tack ones have this, that puck crosses the goal line, you have 30 seconds to challenge. Enough of standing at the bench and letting the coach stare at an iPad to figure out if it was a millimeter offside. If you couldn't pick it out in real time, you can't challenge because you don't have enough time. And then if they do decide to challenge, put that timer on 30 seconds again. If you can't tell in that time definitively it was offside, millimeters do not affect the play. If it's a foot, you're going to see that right away. Easy overturn. If you cannot figure it out that quickly, it didn't affect the play. Call on the ice stands, move on.
I don't think I even really care that much. I think from my perspective is this is an entertainment product. People are spending good money to be at the games, to buy the $25 beers, the $400 streaming subscription to watch a team that lives 10 miles away from you. Like, spending more than a minute reviewing an offside call, is just saps the energy out of the arena, saps it out of the people watching. Like, people's attention spans have never been shorter, and to take away, 5 minutes plus of a game to review something that's so marginal is just makes your product worse.
Evan's absolutely right.
People love their corporate overlords and they just want more commercials.
It's
I think
just
the refs should have spent that entire time waiting for the review to get called, watching Danielson poke the puck forward and then stick check the defender as he got around him. And that way, by the time they decided to challenge it, they would have just been like, no, we're not overturning this one. Unfortunate, because I think Danielson did, like, as someone who used to be a, hardline, just get it right truther, and now I'm like, no, the spirit of the rule should absolutely come into play on this. That one, like, Finnie did not factor into that play. That should have counted. I feel terrible for Danielson. The only thing that brought some solace after Seattle tied it right after that happened, which was annoying.
Well, but that's another thing to go back to that rule. It's a competitive disadvantage for the team. Like, okay, whether the goal gets overturned or not, fine. Let's assume Finnie was 10 feet offside there. Okay? That goal gets overturned, sucks for Detroit, but he was offside, fine. 5 minutes when the Red Wings had all the momentum, all the energy at home, crowd into it, that gave, beyond taking the goal off the board, that gave Seattle a competitive advantage in that scenario. And I don't like that either, because you talk about home ice advantage, part of that's the crowd. And when you have refs and replay officials taking that out of the building, again, even worse for the game.
So Riker Evans scores to tie it. And then on the power play, who else other than Emmitt Finnie, who got his first goal in, 11 games, off a feed from Nate Danielson, finds Finnie in front, who rips it home. And this was an all rookies, the kids are all right game. We knew Finnie was struggling, and not struggling like he was bad in an anchor, but he just wasn't shining the way he was when he first came on the scene, as he's, continuing to find his consistency and how the veterans around the league have found their legs. And so they're harder to play against, all that stuff. It's just normal parts of being a rookie, but still you just need that goal to get out of your head and loosen it up. And Danielson didn't just come in and light things up himself. He also helped unlock the other rookies on the team, which was more than needed and a huge moment. The energy in that arena was through the roof.
It's nice to know the 2023 draft just won us a game.
Yeah, what was it? 4 points from them?
2 for Danielson, 1 for Finnie, 1 for ASP. Yep.
Yeah. And then if we go by what you said earlier with his second goal counting, then it's more than that. That goes to 3-2 Detroit with that power play goal, and then Dylan Larkin at the end of the game seals it with an empty netter, his 12th of the season from Raymond and DeBrincat. That was Dylan Larkin's 600th career point. That was Lucas Raymond's 4th consecutive multi-point game, and then DeBrincat also stays hot with that one as well, his second assist of that game. And those three we'll talk about in a second. Their point paces are unreal. The Red Wings win 4-2. Great game from Talbot as well. And, that Danielson goal being called back could have really sunk Detroit, but still they persevered through it. I felt that was, again, one of their more dominant games this season, and a response to what McLellan and the team had pointed out as being the cause for the collapse against Buffalo. Like, you can see them addressing those concerns. You can see the defensive support as they come back. You can see, I thought Axel Sandin-Pellikka had one of his better games in recent memory that game as well, not just for the shot they got through. Really, really great game, and a lot to like for Todd McLellan's squad.
Yeah, this is one of those games where when you're looking at what are the Red Wings going to be in a few years, when the contention window hopefully opens, this is what it's going to look like. Obviously with Finnie, Danielson, ASP, I'll even lump Casper in because he's a sophomore. This is kind of what you expect from rookies. They're going to go through hot streaks. They're going to go through cold streaks. That is totally normal. But when they're on, you can see how it affects the team, right? When they had 2 lines rolling this game, 2 power play units rolling this game, it does change the dynamics. So in a couple of years when ASP and Danielson and Finnie and Casper are doing their thing, but on a night-to-night basis, like Larkin and Raymond and Seider can do, who, oh, by the way, they'll still be around, you can just see that the multiple avenues they have to win games. We've talked about the other veterans on this team, and they are what they are, and they're limited as they are, and that's fine. This is, the first step to really see it. You know what I mean? And not that this is their first good game of the year, but first game where they've been the driving force behind the win. And maybe in the future, when Larkin and Raymond have an off night, it's not an automatic loss, which has been the case for a while now.
Danielson having that game too is so important because he didn't really have to that point the exciting moments that, the other three rookies had. I mean, MBN's was in the preseason, but ASP and Finnie at the beginning of this season. And I mean, we talked when he debuted with the Red Wings, like you have to manage expectations. This team wasn't as high flying in the games that he was coming into as they were in the beginning of the season. The rest of the league had legs under them and he was coming off injury. Like you had to let him ease into it. But if this is the start of him trending more towards what he can be, not even just as a player overall in his career, but just in his rookie season, yeah, Brad, you're right. Like you're going to see immediate results as well. This solves lineup problems, not all of them, and not completely, and not game in and game out, because consistency is the hardest thing for a rookie to find. But it's just another, tool in the toolbox for the Red Wings, who have still turned what has been a up and down season into tops of the Atlantic at the quarter pole mark.
You can really see the chemistry of this team and how they'll find success going forward through the other 62 games of the season. Like the big guys keep humming along, which it looks like they'll be able to do. Maybe not at this pace, but they're going to be productive on almost every night. And then if you can get some of the rookies to just continue to find their way this year, you can see how the Red Wings are going to win games. And we didn't talk about Patrick Kane yet. We didn't really talk about Marco Kasper yet in that game. We didn't talk about anyone on defense except for Axel Sandin-Pellikka. I thought Seider and Edvinsson continue to be an elite top pairing defensive group. And Ben Sherratt's having a pretty solid year playing either with Mo Seider or ASP. So you can really see sustainable success the way the roster is constructed right now.
So you mentioned those guys in their insane pace. Let's jump to that. Dylan Larkin right now, over an 82-game season, is on pace for 49 goals and 98 points, which would be very obviously a career best. Lucas Raymond right now, he missed some games, but this is over an 82-game pace. He's on pace for 100 points. And Alex DeBrincat is on pace for 94 points if they continue as is. Now, Larkin had his hot start, and obviously, the point streak eventually ended, even if it was a little annoying how it did. This is them after Larkin cooled down. This is Raymond after being injured, missing games, and not being at his best when he came back. And this is Alex DeBrincat, who has 9 goals, not scoring for the first 8 games or so of the season, being snake bitten.
He was Philip Zadina for a little bit.
But yeah, he was shooting better than Zadina, though. It just wasn't going in. And those 3 players, usually if the Red Wings have one guy who's doing that a quarter of the way into the season, you're like, that is the story of the year. There's your MVP right there, and all our hopes rest on your shoulders. These are the Red Wings' 3 highest performing forwards, as a lot of people would point to these guys and say they should be the Red Wings' highest producing forwards based on, their age, their output, their skill and ability. And they're all doing it at the same time. This is a huge difference compared to years past where you had, some schmuck scoring 14 goals for the first 39 games, and that was
I will not take the Adam Ernie slander again. Every episode.
I said 14, not 11. So.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Okay, it's my mistake.
This is massive. Are these guys all going to keep that pace? No, probably not. But if they even flirt with point per game over the course of the entire season, that is just another step towards being the kind of team where you look at their offensive weapons and say, yeah, that's a team that you could see making the playoffs. I would love for them to be 90, 100-point players, and I certainly think Larkin and Raymond have it in them, and I think Alex DeBrincat, if Larkin and Raymond are playing like that, has that in him if he's playing with them consistently. But this is, everyone's humming right now. Never mind the fact that again, those are their best forwards. And for most of the season, if they're not going, then the offense generally isn't going at all. Put that to the side for now. How big is it for this top line to be firing on all cylinders like this?
Well, fairly or unfairly, this is the Red Wings' formula for success as currently constructed. Again, the Atlantic Division isn't exactly a powerhouse right now, but they're first in the division. They have a lot of rookies in the lineup, and when they're on, they're great, but there's going to be a lot of nights where they're off. We've talked at length about the forwards down the lineup severely lacking offense. Spoiler alert, that's not changing for the rest of the season. So if the Red Wings are going to be a playoff team, I'm not saying Larkin and Raymond have to hit 100 points. Probably got to hit 90. Like, that's probably the pace they have to keep because they are going to be the ones, pushing the wheelbarrow full of playoff hopes and dreams over the finish line. And thus far, they've been doing it. They've been getting the tougher matchups. Like, let's call a spade a spade. The Red Wings are not hard to line match against. If you have a shutdown D pair, you know who you're putting them out against. Like, there's no conversation about this line or that line. They're going against the Larkin line. So for them to be, I don't want to say on an island because that's too extreme, but like that much of a standout compared to the rest of the forward group and still produce the way they've been producing, that if you do finally get some offensive depth and you do get the rookies maybe on a slightly more consistent basis producing, there's a lot of reason to think that, yeah, this might just be what they are, which is fantastic.
I view this, and this might be my, Red Wings tinted lenses, but I view this as a really great base, or like somewhat of a base. Like, your best players are going to be their best players, and they're not going to be multi-point games every single game, but by and large, they're always going to be the guys who can count on to show up. This is without Marco Kasper playing like he did last season. This is with, last night notwithstanding, Emmitt Finnie not exactly producing like he was at the start of the year. Nate Danielson still getting warmed up. And Patrick Kane is kind of suffering from not having a solid second-line center like he did last season. So his line went from the most automatic line on the Red Wings to kind of an anchor line. Like, that Finnie Comfort Kane line was just getting caved for multiple games there. And
I can't believe it.
And they moved Marco Kasper up to that wing, and I think things did get a little bit better, as pointed out by a few people. But still, like, that's not making the most of Patrick Kane. So, whatever that second line center looks like, whether it's Marco Kasper gets back into form at some point this season, or Nate Danielson maybe even is a solution there. If they can find that, like, there's other pieces here that you have seen be part of this team's production who aren't even chipping in as much right now or at all as they typically would. The top line being together, Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, is the same as putting Edvinsson and Seider together. Like, at some point, if things aren't working, you just have to put all your eggs in one basket just to see the puck go in the net. And I think the Red Wings have done a good job of doing that. And the important thing now is to try to get the other guys going, as you both have mentioned, whether it's the rookies down the lineup, whether it's making the most of your depth players. Like, you've seen flashes of some pretty solid play from Berggren down the lineup this season. You hope Soderblom can get healthy. He's been battling a little bit of injury, but if you can kind of get that support, you're not going to get a lot of it. You can't delude yourself into thinking these guys are all of a sudden going to turn into something they're not. Like, you still have the Confer on the second line situation, but you just chip in a little bit more. You get Axel Sandin-Pellikka playing the kind of zone starts that make the most of his abilities and don't kill his confidence on defense. And you have Ben Sherrod, I think, having his best season as the Red Wings. Like, those are the things that add up to a team that is going to continue to win a good chunk of points as they progress through this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of it unfairly hinges on players like Marco Kasper, because if they can get him going, which I think they're trying to, I think he's looked a little bit better of late, but if they can really get him going again, that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure from the top line, and it's going to make other teams have to think a little bit more when they play the Detroit Red Wings that, got to shut down the big boys, but you got to also pay attention to the second line because they've got a guy like, maybe it's Kasper, Danielson, Kane. It's like they have Patrick Kane and they got two kids who can fly. Like, that's a line we've got to watch out for as well. So if Danielson can stick, be a productive rookie, and Kasper can get back to the game that he had last year, I think the Red Wings will be in a great spot for this division.
So Detroit has recorded 12 wins within their first 20 games of the season. I think Daniela tweeted this, credit to her. And for the first time since 2011, 2012, they are 12-7-1. So we haven't seen this kind of performance in 14 years for the Red Wings, before this podcast even existed.
Historic podcast moment.
Goal differential of 0.
The goaltending's been pretty rocky. I would say 0 is probably a good. I feel good about that.
This is the one positive. This is where the standards are at now. We're actually still slightly upset with the team, and they're having a 14-year historic performance, first place in the Atlantic. It's like, oh, the bottom 6 forwards can't produce at all. The goaltending is like, yeah.
Again, you're both being very nice. This has been some of statistically the worst goaltending in the league.
Yes. And their goal differential is 0. We're like, can these aspects of the team please get their crap together? By the way, they're playing better than they have in 14 years to start a season. So it's like,
how bad are the other 13? My God.
I know. I do think it is part of the like perception. Like our standards are just higher now, which is a good thing because now every once in a while they are rising to those standards, which is a playoff team. Still a long way to go. And if they can shore up any of those problems, boy, maybe a divisional seed isn't crazy with how weak the Atlantic has been thus far.
If I had shown you to the goal saved above expected before last night's game, say, and, Gibson is at
I think
the
I saw
bottom.
that chart. Someone posted it somewhere. And I was like, today's a bad day to be able to read.
Imagine you can read?
Well, that day I could.
That's cool. With Gibson at the bottom and then Talbot not far behind, I think that was more from just like a few games, but still. And then I asked you to guess the Red Wings record. Nobody ever would have guessed 12-7-1. And then if we said that the Red Wings were, first in the division through 20 games, a bunch of people would have said, wow, Gibson must be unreal to start the year. I know I would have. I would have thought their goaltenders are stealing them a lot of games. This is coming in without a lot of the traditional things that teams who outperform what they should be doing have in place. There's no goalie kind of saving them. There's no Logan Thompson on the Red Wings right now. It's a really good setup for Detroit as long as they capitalize. As Brad said, nothing's guaranteed. Upcoming, they have the New York Islanders on Thursday night at 7 at the LCA, and then Saturday matinee 1 p.m. against the Columbus Blue Jackets, also at the LCA, and then we're back with you on Sunday. So every game's a big game. Neither of those Atlantic Division games, though, and we'll see how the Red Wings can continue their bout of solid play there.
Matinee, though, so that's a schedule loss.
They'll wake up sometime in the second period. We'll just see how the Blue Jackets do. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we're back, more on the Red Wings and the world of the NHL. But first, a word from our sponsors. Back after this. You know how sometimes your game just feels off? You're doing everything right, but something's just missing. Hair loss can feel the same way. It's not just about what's on your head. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. Hims helps you get that confidence back with personalized care that actually fits your life. Hims provides access to licensed medical providers who can help you find what works for your hair loss, all through a simple online process you can do from home, so no long road trips or waiting room reviews required. You'll get access to proven ingredients that can help stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months if prescribed. There are no hidden fees or surprise costs, just real personalized care built around you. Think of Hims as your front office for confidence. They bring expert guidance, clear solutions, and treatments that help you get back to feeling like your old self again. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/wingedwheel. That's hims.com/wingedwheel for your free online visit. hims.com/wingedwheel. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. The Atlantic Division, we have said many times, and we're going to continue to as long as it's relevant, is currently led by the Detroit Red Wings. At the time of recording, 25 points in 20 games. 8th place in the division are the Buffalo Sabres. 18 points in 19 games played. So at most, 7 points separates the top and the bottom of the Atlantic. And when Buffalo plays their game in hand, it could be as few as 5. The Metro Division is also 7 points separating Carolina and Washington, 27 and 20 points. You go over to the West, though. The Pacific, which is led by the Anaheim Ducks.
Yes.
We did say the Ducks could make some noises here. We just weren't expecting them to be making all of the noises here.
Leo Carlson is the next coming of Matt Sundin.
I love how once an appropriate amount of time has passed that all of these top picks that everyone was saying were worth tanking for, they're not busts. They just needed like a year to adjust, and now they're all playing out of their minds. Everyone's like, drafting higher is better for you, isn't it?
No kidding.
The Anaheim Ducks have 25 points. The Calgary Flames have 13. That's 12-point difference. And the Flames have played 2 more games. 2 more games.
It doesn't sound that bad, but it's horrible.
I cannot believe the state that team is in. Oh, we have a new arena coming. You're not going to have a good team in it. I can promise you that much.
It's easy to park because no one will be going.
Is Edmonton playing there? I'm speaking too soon.
Yeah.
And then in the Central, you have the Nashville Predators at 16 points at the bottom and the Colorado Avalanche with 31.
Oh, who's second in that division? Because Colorado's kind of just doing their own thing right now.
You have the Dallas Stars, 27 points.
Okay.
So you have 15 points between the top and the bottom in the Central, and you have 12 points between the top and the bottom in the Pacific. It is incredibly tight in the East right now. The fact that 3.5 wins separates you from either having an excited podcast episode where your team is leading the division, or you're the Buffalo Sabres, who have already beat the team who's leading the division twice this season. This time
I feel
next
like
week,
Buffalo fans would be saying, it doesn't feel like our season's that bad so far. Like, this is not a regular Buffalo season.
yeah, for them, it's actually a little bit better than what they've had. They've still had.
They should always be better than what they should be, but they haven't been. But this year, it's kind of like, they're a little bit better.
Yeah.
They're still down there, though. Someone's like, did we time travel back 10 years where the Buffalo Sabres and an Alberta hockey team are in a lottery race for a generational talent?
The Detroit Lions are the worst team in Detroit right now. Like at this very specific small moment in time.
That's crazy. And they're still good.
Yes, they are. I mean, this season was expected to be a little bit tougher, but yeah, I mean, the Pistons are going hot right now. The Red Wings are, 7 of their last 8 points leading the
Tigers
division.
made the playoffs, back-to-back Cy Young winner, right?
Yeah, who we're definitely going to keep.
For $1 billion. Would you rather have an NHL team or one starting pitcher? Own an NHL team or a starting pitcher?
Can I have both? Because someone can.
Somebody can.
One very specific person could do both.
That's true.
Regardless, does this make you at all nervous in the East? With, like, I understand you can allude to, not the strongest performances by each team. Tampa Bay is the only team with the positive goal differential. And so, but it has led to a tighter spread. And so in the span of 2 weeks, you can go from top to bottom and back to top again.
Plus, you look at the standings and one team is below 500 in the entire Eastern Conference. Oh, and by the way, the last place Washington Capitals are currently up by 2 on the Oilers. I know we must have referenced it a long time ago, but the one thing I was thinking about today was there was a quote from years ago from John Cooper who said, there's going to be a year where the top teams come down a little bit and the bottom teams come up a little bit and they all meet right in the middle and it's going to be chaos. This is that year.
I think this season, by and large, will be dictated by 2 things. And this might be rich of me to say, or you might think it's hypocritical based on what we've talked about so far, but over the course of an 82-game season, I think 2 things are going to come into the fray when everyone is in the mess. You're right, Brad. Buffalo's the only one below 500 points percentage, and they're still not out of it. Health and goaltending. Those 2 things over a long NHL season of 82 games are going to shine through no matter what. It is incredibly hard to make the playoffs unless you're, the Colorado Avalanche, if your goaltending is just brutal all year. And if you are a team carrying a ton of injuries, that is an automatic, obviously, knock against you when other teams, maybe they are not better positioned in terms of their lineup on paper, but they just have more of their guys available. We always say availability is the best ability. And over an 82-game season, when there's like a dozen teams all vying for a few spots, I think that's what's going to matter in the end. Now that, John Cooper's words of wisdom are coming to fruition.
This is what I wanted to bring up at some point without sounding cynical and like not taking advantage of the good vibes right now in Detroit. There's an extremely high chance. I would say I would be even willing to bet on it, and I do not bet that the top line for the Detroit Red Wings are all going to the Olympics. Does that makes me nervous from a Red Wings perspective. And I feel like such a dick for saying that, because it's like the Olympics is going to be awesome. Those guys get to represent their country, like saw the Four Nations face off, how important that was to the players. Like how that goes, that could answer a lot of questions of how the Red Wings season's going to go, because that's a lot of extra miles being put on those guys.
I don't think DeBrincat's getting on that team, even if he has all the merit, because small. But to Ryan's point about health and goaltending being the two biggest things for the rest of the season, there's going to be a lot of goalies at the Olympics. They might get tired, they might get hurt, they might get exhausted. The Red Wings will not have that issue. So their goaltending may not be good after the Olympics, but they'll be healthy.
There's a good conversation to have about how Cam Talbot is not as far away from being one of the three best Canadian goaltenders.
He's like one goaltending injury away from being in the conversation.
Yes.
No, because then Canada might finally consider putting Logan Thompson on the team. But then if he gets hurt.
Well, you made the point about DeBrincat, both of you. And I tweeted today about, like, if DeBrincat keeps going like this, you're going to have to consider if you're Team USA putting him on. Like, what did you in against Canada? You couldn't score when you needed to. Now, what's working against DeBrincat is the fact that he's small. Someone did point it out, and Tarno on Twitter actually did a good job to point it out. They're not lacking in options at, small forwards who can score. Cole Caulfield is the name at the top of that list right now, but then you look at like Connor, Gensel, Keller, Jack Hughes, although we'll talk about him in a little bit, and DeBrincat, not to mention others. DeBrincat's going to need a combination of like Jack Hughes continuing to be injured, or maybe he doesn't come back as quick as he does, and he's going to have to continue to be extremely hot, which Red Wings fans will think is ridiculous because he plays a tenacious game. I think DeBrincat's game is cut out for the kind of physicality and intensity you get with the Olympics, and we know that. But, there's guys who have gone before who will be considered locks for the team, and it's going to be hard to displace them, and they're not going to want, like, they're focused on bringing Tage Thompson, who has the exact same amount of goals as Alex DeBrincat right now, but because of the big body, and we saw firsthand how that can make a difference. So the odds are stacked against DeBrincat, even though we think second star of the week in the NHL, by the way, he should be at least in heavy consideration. But your point stands, Evan. Like, I think
so. Two of the three best players are going to the Olympics.
Well, three Seider, right?
Oh, sorry, on their first line.
Yeah, like you look at those guys and you're like,
Edvinsson's going to get extremely strong consideration too.
And it makes me nervous because we saw what happened when they came back from Four Nations last year. You hope that they learn from it, but at the same time, how much of it is you can learn from it and how much of it is it's just the reality of it? These guys who didn't grow up.
These guys are not like thinking of their NHL season when they throw their country's jersey on. They're thinking about winning for their country.
And that's the way it should be. As
Exactly.
hockey purists, that's the way it should be, 100%. It's the beauty of international best on best. But then we saw Dylan Larkin, even though he played a full 82, he was a shell of himself, a ghost last season. And Raymond was for a lot of it too, and he did turn it on, but Larkin for even longer was completely invisible. So I get why you didn't want to bring it up, because how many episodes do we get to open by saying they lead the Atlantic?
I know.
It's a fair point.
The other thing is there's going to be a lot of other NHL teams who are sending their best players to the Olympics as well. So it's not like the Red Wings are the only team sending players. But the Red Wings just rely extremely heavily on a select few guys who are almost certainly locks for their country.
Now, again, I think another point is that the Four Nations was a quicker faster, tougher tournament. The Olympics have, bigger rosters. There's more games. There's it's less concentrated intensity. So even though there's more mileage, you hope that the wear and tear won't be so extreme that there's less risk of like acute injury that way.
Higher chance that they have morning cigarettes because they're in Italy, but yeah, it'll be good.
That's just breakfast.
Yes.
Well, won't that be offset by the carb loading?
That's very true. They'll be up dinner doesn't end till midnight, so it'll be very difficult.
Carbs don't count in Italy. Everyone knows that.
No, that's true.
That is very much not true based on the amount of weight that I gained, even though I walked that many steps.
You have to. If you don't, it's a disaster for your waistline. It's
sacrilege in front of the Vatican.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. That's the Eastern Conference. Let's see where we're at on Sunday after two more hockey games. All right, moving on to some Red Wings pipeline news. Sebastian Cossa back today to rejoin the Grand Rapids Griffins as they continue their historic start to the AHL season. Unbelievable start there, and happy to see that Kossa's not out long term. Not the same can be said for Postava or Carter Mazur, who is out long term with his injury as well once again. But for Cossa, I should give a couple seconds here. A few people did say, why aren't we giving Cossa more attention? I'm not as far away from that thinking as I was when I first answered that question of if things really, really, really aren't working out with Gibson. I'm not saying ditch Gibson, but
send a message.
You can't play Talbot every night.
If we're going to send message to the forward groups, we can send it to the goaltending group as well.
100%. I'm not, if Kossa's, up to form and the injury hasn't, knocked too much rust onto him or anything like that, I am not opposed to having him up at some point as long as there's no, permanent roster impact. Although there's so many guys on this team that you could waive and you'd be just fine doing it. So I'm watching Cossa with a keen eye. Trey Augustine continues to be the story of the Red Wings pipeline, though. And that was with no disrespect to Sebastian Cossa, but the start that he is on with Michigan State is absolutely absurd. I know we talked about this recently as well, but we recently posted a graphic and Trey Augustine, 8-1 record, .948 save percentage, 1.32 goals against average.
Dear God.
This guy...
That is absurd.
He's not the prototypical goaltending prospect of the modern era. He's not this colossal goalie that is a combination of athleticism and size. He's an old school goalie. But, oh my God, is he pouring talent out of his ears.
Yeah, he's technically very sound, an absolute competitor, a true athlete. And he's just gotten better every single year. I'm very excited to see what happens. Not to, skip through the entire season, but I'm very excited to see what the plans are for him going into next year.
I am still disappointed that we didn't get to see him go pro this year because I think he very well could have done it. But I do have a lot of admiration for a guy who's so competitive that he's like, no.
I want to win a natty so bad.
I'm going back and I'm winning that natty because I believe in this Spartan team and the program that they have going there has been absolutely phenomenal. And it gives you the tingles. That warms
good company guy, he's bought in, he wants to do it. He's had a taste of it. Yeah, that's the type of guy you want in your on the Griffins, on the Red Wings, because those are the guys who win.
And the fact that he's building those roots in Michigan, like in the state of Michigan, not that you're ever concerned about him not, signing and being with the Red Wings, but still, it bodes well. I hope he does it, man. That guy's what a story he's been. Speaking of great stories, Brent Solomon, as he continues to tear up the USHL, signs his agreement with the Wisconsin Badgers. So that is for their 2026 recruitment. So he is headed to the NCAA, barring some incredible story, but that's going to be a good program for him to join as well. So those are just some notes about the Red Wings prospect pipeline. Let's jump over to NHL news. Another one bites the dust. Adrian Kempe off the board. Ken Holland ruins our fun as usual. 8-year extension for Kempe, an $85 million deal. What is it? $10.625 million per season.
Are we just going to skip July 1st episode next summer?
Who's left?
Ben
Geriatrics and terrible players.
Like, someone is going to get $11 million who wouldn't have received 8 last offseason.
I was combing through the free agent list when I saw that and went, who would I actually give money and term here? Do you know the name that jumped to the top of my list?
Is it Nick Schmaltz?
Nick Schmaltz.
Yeah, I could get on board with that.
I could very much get on board with Nick Schmaltz. He's going to get $11 million.
Him and Alex Tuck both are going to combine. They're going to be the next Parise suitor.
Those guys are not worth $11 million, but I mean, if you can pay 35-year-old Artemi Panarin, 40-year-old Alex Ovechkin, let's get weird. It's bleak, man. This is going to be a seller's market in the trade market.
You look at this, and then you look at the NHL wanting to expand to 36 teams, and I'm like,
I'm going to be on the free agent list, for God's sakes.
You're gonna make a few $1 million. You're gonna get Rasmussen's contract.
I guarantee you I'd hit more people than him.
Yeah, you'd have to take the pay cut though, so I don't know that you're doing it.
That's true, yeah.
Brad and I, oh my, this is our payday. We're gonna be able to afford 3 square meals for the first time.
I shoot right. I'll start learning defense.
That is the craziest thing you've said.
That's why I said start.
That real recession indicator.
No, but seriously, like the way this league is currently constructed, and with the rules that they have about how long you have control of a player before they go to unrestricted free agency, the cap is going up by about $10 million a year. It feels like right now.
There's gonna be like one cap, like teams spending to the salary cap.
Yeah, there's no more cap strapped teams. That era is over. And it's these GMs that have almost pulled a fast one over on these players by saying, oh, well, I can't jump you to that number so fast. Like, that's ridiculous. Meanwhile, the numbers are the numbers. Percentage of the cap is percentage of the cap. We know what the escalation is going to be year over year over year. So you have one extremely cap efficient contracts all over the league to a ton of term. Like, there's going to be no movement. If you have any player on a long-term contract, and if the contract is anywhere from phenomenal to slightly bad, that is still an advantage for your team.
It definitely goes to show how team valuable it is to have long-term contracts, good long-term contracts. Every extra year you get of one of your core pieces is worth far more than what the money that they're paying those players.
Anyways, Nick Schmaltz is on pace for 90 points.
Yeah, well,
So
11 mil would be low.
Yeah, so does he get 12 or 13?
Man. Like,
yeah, July 1 could be terrible this year.
Sign Edvinsson yesterday. Sign Casper right now while his value is at the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's not that I thought Kempe was going to leave LA. Like, players who are, lifers on those kind of markets, they don't tend to leave. Panarin leaving New York is going to be, if he does, is going to be a really weird story. Like, it's going to be an aberration.
Yeah.
Headed to Anaheim, probably, right? But it's going to be, I don't know. You're not going to see the kind of movement that you'd hope to, and it just points you more towards, if you want to make a move, you either got to win the lottery or make a trade. Who's leading the NHL? As of last night, it was McKinnon, Celebrini, McDavid, and Connor Bedard. Aside from the fact that is Gary Bettman's wet dream, like, who do you think helps you in this league? First overall picks.
You just named all Canadians as well, by the way. Like, national.
Well, I don't. Apparently, you can only take 3 of them.
You only take one young player.
That's right. It's a tough position. You can have a great team, but if you need to get one piece to put you over the edge, you might be waiting years.
Bring me Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah, honestly. Unironically, bring me Nick Schmaltz.
I looked. He's going to be 30 by free agency.
You know what, man? Are we even going to make it that far? All right, more in NHL news. There have been various kind of Red Wings-ish rumors put out there. I think Pagnotta put something out about watch the Red Wings with Kopp and Comfer if they continue to be a wildcard-ish team. And I know Friedman has mentioned a couple times that the Oilers have in some way been linked to both Red Wings goalies in the past. Like, Gibson was a guy that they wanted to trade for forever. It just never really worked in terms of whether the player would want to be there and or what the trade compensation would be or something like that. and then with Talbot being, a sensible option for the Oilers. And for all of that, like, I think there's various levels of interest for the Red Wings to try to have dealt Comfort and or Copp's contracts in the past. I think at one point, one of them was in an agreement of sorts, and maybe either the other team, backed out, whether that was the Buffalo deal or something like that, or the no trade clause kicked in. I don't know if there's so much urgency now in terms of being cap strapped because the cap is going up so much. I'm sure they would love to offload one of those deals if they can do so without mortgaging futures. But right now, there's not really a lot of motivation, I don't think, to do it or be desperate to do it. And even more so, like, if you're the Red Wings, you're not dealing Cam Talbot right now.
Oh, God, no.
Like, you are in a better position than the Edmonton Oilers, purely standings-wise. Ignore the players on each team. Why would you trade Cam Talbot? I have no doubt that if things go south, that he would be a great trade asset for the Oilers or someone else. But as of right now, there's not really a motivation to do it. But it all kind of, like, those things do make sense. So I want to acknowledge them because people have been asking. But you're only really considering those things, one, if the right opportunity comes up with a team who could use one of those veteran contracts, or if your season falls apart, then yeah, you if someone's paying the right price, then you give them Cam Talbot for that. But it's a bunch of ifs right now. I'm not seeing a lot of energy behind those movements at the moment.
No, it's with the cap increase, the Red Wings being in a playoff spot, unless there's an equivalent or better player coming back, I don't think you're moving any of them. Because again, as much as we dump on Comfort and Copp, who's replacing them in the lineup if they get traded right now?
That's the whole point. Like, it's not a money thing at this point with how the salary cap has gone. It's bringing in a better player to seize the opportunity of making the playoffs.
Now, if Berggren was lighting it up and Soderblom was having a great season and Mazur was healthy and ready and all those guys are needing spots, and I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Then I'm starting to pound the table a little bit. And they could be in that position in short order here, within a few short months. But as of right now, it's not really the position that they're in. All right, last point. Patrick Waugh shouting at Mikko Rantanen going off the ice, talking about a game, was it 4 months from now or something? Saying you're not going to make it to the end of that game. Screaming at him after Rantanen put Romanov into the boards with a pretty nasty hit from behind. I don't get there was a collision and everything, but still. As a neutral observer of Patrick Waugh and his remarkable inability to stay calm at any given moment, that is just top-tier entertainment. As someone who watched the whole Bertuzzi-Moore incident go down in the past, I kind of went, I'm not sure I'd be incriminating myself so vocally like that, but what an insane moment that was. An insane end to that game, even.
The hockey code is a coach never talks to a player. Every hockey player knows that. Waugh doesn't seem the type to care, so gotta respect that a little bit. Shout out to Down Goes Brown for pointing something out about the next Stars Islanders game. It's on March 26th. Has Patrick Waugh ever been involved in anything on March 26th historically that might end up resembling something like what that game could?
It would be the most bizarre recreation. Like, if you asked any two teams to recreate Fight Night at the Joe,
the Stars and the Islanders. But if you drop Patrick Waugh in the middle of it,
man, that guy is an absolute lunatic. I don't think that he's an effective coach. I think he's too much of a main character. Like,
yes.
Even in that moment, I'm like, you got to let your play. I understand the anger. Like, that was nasty. I would be livid. But you got to let your players do that talking. What are you the one shouting at him for?
I think Islanders fans are saying it's been a little bit overdue for a Patrick Waugh explosion. So I think they're just waiting for a moment.
I can't believe I'm going to be that excited, gripped with entertainment and anticipation for a March 26th Dallas Stars New York Islanders game. You guys see how that game ended with the goalie interference call that waved off a tying goal? I don't know about that call, man. Like,
God, I love video review.
I understand what they were getting at. The contact looked like it was going to happen anyways, but the moment you get shoved in, Like I was surprised even that Seattle got the extra penalty in the scrum last night after Edvinsson absolutely pushed that guy into Talbot. I mean, good on JVR for going after him right after. Like I loved what I saw, but I was surprised that Seattle got the extra there. Regardless. Okay, we are going to take another quick break, and when we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Win Wheel Podcast. Back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show. Again, the bonus overtime episodes, the Discord, the giveaway of 2 Detroit Red Wings home game tickets to our Patreon supporters, all that and lots more are some of the benefits you get. And you make Evan smile, which is incredibly hard to do.
That doesn't happen.
You're about to right now. Well, you only ever really smile when you tell us about how, Sully just rips a new world record fart.
There's been some insane ones the past 3 days since we last spoke, 4 days.
Your journey into fatherhood is essentially just a edition of Captain Underpants, the novel.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. Again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Let's take some questions from our patrons. Joe Falzone says, I can't help but feel frustrated by what Bedard, Schaefer, Celebrini, and Carlson are doing. Seeing Raymond 4th in U24 scoring helps a ton, though. Again, we've talked about this before. The Red Wings had absolutely no lottery luck at all. Oftentimes, the most amount of bad luck you could have. And they were almost suffering from success because they made the most of their picks, drafting guys like Seider and Raymond, and made the team too good to tank even longer. So they missed out on even more opportunities, which wouldn't have panned out because that's just not what the hockey gods are ever going to give Detroit. But when it came to like the Bedard or Celebrini or whatever years you want to look at, Detroit wasn't even a factor in those because the team already had too much where their floor is now like above the absolute bottom lottery teams. Even if Detroit has a terrible season, are they going to be Calgary bad? No, they're not. And it is incredibly frustrating to see that. Whenever people are like, the winning the lottery isn't everything. Look at the Rangers or whatever. I get it. Not every first overall pick is going to be Celebrini. Not every first overall pick is going to be Schaefer. Holy hell, is it nice to have those guys, though. Even Slavkovsky from Montreal.
The only solace is that the Red Wings have done well for their picks, and that's all I'm going to keep repeating, because if I don't, I might cry.
I'm really bad at just worrying about what you can control, as you've noticed, but that's the lesson here. You just worry about what you can control as a team, and very obviously that's just nailing your own picks. Join the Dark Sider says, this team has been very hot and cold. I know you boys talked about it, but it shouldn't take getting ripped a new one to play well. How do you feel about the team's performance 1/4 of the way through the season?
They're in first in the Atlantic. They have exceeded our wildest imaginations.
Like, I know what you said earlier, Brad, of like, you're still kind of frustrated with the team. And in the moments, yeah, like I watched the Buffalo game where I thought, some of Detroit's best players and Seider had a horrific game and they collapsed. Or you look at the previous Buffalo game and the game after was the Islanders. And I'm like, you can be a rookie team, but you shouldn't be losing like this. Like those things I'm not writing off, but a lot of the Red Wings up and downness this season is because they're a young team and a new team by and large. And so you don't have to like it. And you certainly don't say, wow, this is great that they're all of a sudden bad when they were great 24 hours ago. But a lot of that's explained in my mind.
And a lot of it is having the right coaching staff to alleviate some of the growing pains of a team attempting to come out of a rebuild. Like the progress we've seen with ASP from game 1 of the season to game 20 is incredible. Like he's on the first power play the other night. Like Todd McLellan and staff have done a great job of, lighting their pants on fire when required, but also, having those teaching moments and giving guys room to seize opportunities and to grow as players. So yeah, it's a good combination of things.
Yeah, Todd legs McLellan.
Oh my God.
Why didn't they zoom in?
I need you to know, Evan, that we were at Harry's after the
Did
Buffalo
they just
game.
like pull him out of the bathroom? Like, or does he walk to the arena?
We were at Harry's after that loss against Buffalo, where I've never felt like the vibes have never felt worse at the LCA. Detroit's gotten trounced by that year's Cup champion Florida Panthers, and we still weren't as bummed out as we were after that Buffalo loss. And I looked at the TV and they were showing a rerun of the conversation line, and it was Ken and Danielle, and they had McLellan on. And I looked and I did a double take. And I was like, what is he wearing? And it's his almost knee-high socks, very sultry, and his, short gym shorts. And then I didn't see your face, Brad, but everyone at the table nearly fell off their chairs laughing at the face that you made when you realized it. People can't give you hell on the YouTube comments anymore for what you wear in the summertime for episodes.
I wear my $100 shorts. Like, is that a crime?
Well, I think the 3-inch inseam is what does you
$100 short. No, that does actually feel a little bit like a crime.
Yeah, we should hate you for that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, social media influencer, I get deals on things.
That's right. Yeah.
It's hard for me to say no. Like, it's tough.
How much are you advertising them when they're wedged 90% up your ass?
Well, it's drawing. It's like a bad billboard. You're gonna look at that more than a good one.
Anyways. But yeah, the Todd Legs McLellan does have them.
Yeah, and
I was wondering why I had like 30 notifications on Twitter. I was like, what the hell? Who is arguing and not untagging me, or what am I being added to?
That was me.
Yeah.
That was the Evan Lopsinger fit right there.
Red Wings make the playoffs, maybe I'll wear it game 1.
Buddy, if the Red Wings win a playoff round, we are all wearing that after that series.
I don't know if any of us own socks that come all the way up to the knees.
There's time to make it that way.
I will find them.
Finnie the Pooh says, with McKenna's slow start in the NCAA, is it just him facing tougher competition sooner than other recent high picks, or is he shaping up to be closer to Lafreniere than McDavid?
Isn't he like a point per game player as
Yeah,
a 17-year-old?
The comparison I saw is he's putting up like Hagen's level stats, which now I think McKenna's obviously still way ahead of Hagen's. But yeah, he might not be as generational as everybody thought. He's still slam dunk, surefire first overall pick. Like, he's having a huge year.
Is he?
If you took out the expectations of, is this guy going to be, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid level first overall pick, if you take out those expectations, he'd still be the slam dunk first pick. Just maybe the generational label is being downgraded to just a really good first overall pick. So yeah, he's probably going to be more in the Jack Hughes tier than maybe the tier he was in before. I don't think he's in the Lafreniere tier. Like, he's still going to be a stud.
I think people are also discounting just how good the NCAA is and has even improved over the recent years. Like, that is not an easy league. And just because they can now pull, some of the best players from the CHL, it's different, right? Like, it's a different game. And the WHL is the most, complete, tough to play league in the CHL, but it still pales in comparison to playing against, what is it, essentially grown men in the NCAA.
Yeah, guys like Trey Augustine, who's on year 4, who could be playing pro no problem.
Yeah, like it's hard, and it's going to mask a lot of things, and the jury is out on whether that's going to cause, permanent changes to development paths, or it's just masking, what your true ability is. And the moment his competition comes down a little bit more, he builds up towards it. Like, he could still be the same Gavin McKenna that everyone was expecting him to be, or maybe this is just exposing something that was always there. Being an extremely talented winger who is kind of easy to play against, I think is the way that Pronman put it. Like, that's not always a recipe for success, to put it lightly. And we've seen a lot of top end and even first overall picks bust when we thought that they were going to be, bona fide stars. It's not a perfect formula where you can isolate what the variable at play is here, but it's raised questions, and I think it, like at all things, the answer is in the boring middle somewhere.
Yeah,
But
I'm not going to draw sweeping conclusions to the start of the NCAA season on a kid has over a point per game. Like, he is touted the way he is. Let's let him build some more data points before we close the book.
Oh, you know what we didn't get to in the main show? Jack Hughes, leaning on a piece of broken glass that was, placed on a table because someone had broken glass at a restaurant, out for 6 to 8 weeks. And then today, Luosterainen is week to week after a barbecue incident.
Yeah, he didn't burn himself. The barbecue actually just fell off a balcony and crushed him.
Honestly, what's going on, guys?
Thanksgiving's coming up. This could be the most devastating time of the year for NHL players. Red Solo Cups only.
Red Solo Cups, and you don't grill.
We're canceling Thanksgiving.
If you have a contract in the National Hockey League, you're not grilling. You're not dropping the turkey in oil if you're deep frying it.
Red Solo Cups only. No flutes. No Bordeaux glasses. Like,
just have something delivered. Get a pizza. Don't risk this.
Make sure someone tests the pizza first so it's not too hot.
Yeah. My God. And like Jack Hughes, who needs to come back and have a big performance at the Olympics to dispel a lot of what was said about him after Four Nations, now puts himself at risk of attending, or at the very least, he's going to miss a ton of crucial time and might be rusty going into it.
And he better be fired up, because if JT Miller's on that team, there's going to be no BS. Unless it's JT Miller's back checking.
You guys see that? That's like how I back check in Sunday night beer league at 9 p.m. and we're down 6-0 after 5 minutes.
That is the best controller disconnected image since Ovechkin did it like 15 years ago. He was literally just standing there, floating along.
If you ever want to know what it would be like for an average man to play in an NHL game, that was like your brief moment of what it would look like.
Yeah, and instead they traded a top pick for him and made him captain.
And he made those no BS t-shirts. I guess rules for thee, but not for me in New York.
That is like, what would you rather be? The absolute sauceless Toronto Maple Leafs or the all-time low vibe New York Rangers?
Oh, you'd rather be the Leafs right now 100 out of 100 times.
What do you even do there? And he calls himself out. I'm like, okay, man.
Have you thought about fixing it?
Jeez.
Instead of just, great, you owned up. Seems to happen a lot.
Somewhat speaking of Rangers, Joshua Valance says, do you sign Trouba if he makes it to free agency and is cheap-ish? Nothing like a hometown big right shot D who will throw a flying WWE-style elbow at somebody to get the boys going.
I have a feeling he's staying in Anaheim, man. He's been so good there.
Yeah.
You're watching the kids come alive there. That's exciting for guys who are on the back nine of their career.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll be cheap-ish.
No. I mean, I don't even look at the overall number anymore. You have to look at percentage of cap, but he's the kind of guy where teams are going to value what he can bring to a lineup. And that's a team, on the up and up. So I would certainly entertain the thought, like, let's see what they do with Sherratt. And you're obviously not going to bring back various other guys, but still, like, you wouldn't hate to have that down your lineup. And like him or not, and like the way he throws hits or not, you can see a world where in this NHL you can have value in that. Rasmussen and Petrie on a 2-0 breakaway says, is it a bad thing if the hole at top line left wing is filled by DeBrincat long term? He's a star on this team and in the league, and our future at left wing behind him could have Bear, Plant, and Finnie.
Easier to fill a second line role than a first line role, I guess.
Yeah. It's just about what you're going to do with the other wing on that second line, which also needs someone competent too. So it's not bad at all. But is it going to stick all year? Nothing really has so far for the Red Wings. They've had some good solutions that have stuck longer, but permanently,
the Red Wings need one player to just start to turn it on, and it could be anybody. And I think that solves a lot of those problems.
Eric Asmus says, with ASP's up and down play and shifts being somewhat limited at the end of games, do you think they'll scratch him every once in a while just to let him watch the game and reset himself?
Yeah, I could see that. If he has a pretty tough stretch, it's never the worst thing in the world to just take a few days to breathe.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in that. I remember Hronek being scratched in the past when you were like, is he the worst defenseman on this team right now? Not even close. He's still probably, after a terrible game, the second best defenseman. But you know he can do more, so you scratch him. And with young guys, getting that overhead view and just seeing the way the game unfolds, 100% I can.
Well, he was fourth in ice time last night, so that's a lot of Travis Hamonic for me.
A lot of defensive zone starts, and as they're trying to move ASP away from high pressure situations. I don't hate it, right? Like, you need to keep the confidence in the kid. Because right now, like, let's call it what it is. I think he's capable in the NHL, but not to a degree where he is a surefire NHLer on 32 teams. he's a surefire NHLer on this team where he doesn't have any competition at right shot D. So I think he's a little bit playing above his station, and so you kind of have to craft his world around him so you don't completely torch his confidence.
I don't think you take him out of the lineup.
Now, no, he's playing good, but there will be a rough stretch.
Yes. But right now I don't see why or how you could.
No, right now there's no reason to. And even over 20 games, he's been a lot more good than bad. So, but again, I'll be a little surprised if that holds up for 82 games.
Tom Iserplan Respecter says, when are we going to get Winged Wheel Podcast? Todd McLellan co-branded tube socks. Great seeing you at Winged Wheel Podcast night. That's the best idea we've had so far. We gotta shoot Todd a message. Last one here from Don Mitchell says, it seems like Kane is on an island with Compher as his center. Is there a reason that every iteration of lines we've seen so far hasn't had Kane with Larkin?
Pace, mostly.
That would be the majority of it. I don't want to say it's impossible, right? Like you can see a world where Patrick Kane has two other really strong skaters with him and he doesn't need to be the guy, skating quick up and down the ice. But then you look at how they want that line to play. There's a reason why Emmitt Finnie made it as the first line left wing to start the season. It's the best skater on this team right now, probably. I just don't think it fits with what the Red Wings are looking for. Could it happen? Sure. But watch what Kane does off the puck. And this isn't to knock Kane or anything. It's just the reality of where he is in his career right now. He is not going out there and winning puck battles or retrieving pucks or skating hard and up and down with some of the toughest line matches. His value comes in other ways, but it's hard to extract that value with first line matchups, which is what teams will do. Is it a losing formula? I don't think you can say for sure, and there might be a world where we do see it again, but I don't know. It just doesn't fit the style of what the Red Wings have shown that they're looking for so far.
It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Patrick Kane. All right. That is all for this version of the Winged Wheel Podcast. We're going to jump into our Patreon exclusive bonus overtime episode. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. We're going to be back with you on Sunday. Shout out to the sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast and to all of our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast if you want to support the show. If you want to help us out, but Patreon's not for you, that's totally okay. Just wherever you're getting this podcast, be it Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever, subscribe, leave a rating, a review, a thumbs up, a heart, tell a friend about the show. All of those are things that really do help us out. To our name level supporters on Patreon, thank you so much. Arjun Shankar, Aikfer, Martin Norberg, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Matthew M. Rice, Darb EQ, Sea Lion, Bingo Bango, Hassam Al-Qassem, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, R.A., Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S. of the Cheesebag Navy, The El Cato, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl Brutina, Nanaluski, Jay Gollum, John Ingalls, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adam Zawiza, Adam Rose, I Miss Pew Suter, Steve R, Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Iserplan Stan, Podgy713, Clip Clop Nene, Now I Have to Learn How to Click on a Macintosh, Griffin Not From Grand Rapids, Marty, Cozy the OG13, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Kip Tira Jr., Mike Asher, Chris Black, Brian Munn, August, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Putting on the Moritz, Trevor Centerfit, brand new name level supporter. Trevor, welcome to the Dub Dub Club. Thank you so very much for your support. General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Lonnie Zone, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, Antonio Gracias, Matt Keeler, Linda Hull, Bunyan Rings, Connor Leighton, As Good as It Gobbles, Jeremiah Dobo, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, The Hodag, Bubba the Horse, Commander Ben Baron of the Cheesebag Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka's Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, Josh Yelton, that other guy, Pucking Puck Puck, Carl Thames, Nerno, The Hat 123, Stephen A. Aaron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Roy Mudbutt, Big Cheese, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, Ann Stanislavski, Jim Bellingham Massiballs, Wings Fan in St. Louis Scott, Johnny Page, Lucas Raymond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return of Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finnie to the Raptors, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axel's Sandy-Pellikka, the Octopi's Ninth Leg, Finnie the Pooh, brand new name level supporter, as well as the Octopi's Ninth Leg, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. Talk to you in a few days.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at WingedWheelPod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.
This message is brought to you by Greenlight Lending. Are you facing financial red lights on your home ownership journey? Don't have money for a down payment or closing costs? Struggling with your current mortgage payment or other debt obligations? Or maybe you have a complicated situation like credit challenges or self-employment income? At Greenlight Lending, they turn those red lights green with creative mortgage solutions for purchase and refinance loans. Their team crafts personalized plans with flexible closing cost options, competitive brokered rates, and innovative loan programs tailored to your needs. Whether it's finding the right loan or guiding you through the process, they're here to help you score your home ownership goals. Let's get you out of the penalty box and into the game. Head to gogreenlightlending.com to explore solutions or call Nick directly at 586-321-1888 for your customized plan. All loans are subject to credit approval, terms, and conditions. Rates and programs vary. Contact for details. Greenlight Lending, lighting the way to your financial future. NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender, proud sponsor of the Winged Wheel Podcast.